Okay, so today we're going to be working on graphing on the coordinate plane. This actually connects to number lines and the lesson we did first when it comes to coordinate planes. So if we remember, I asked you to do a few things when it comes to having these graphs. We're going to label our origin, x, and y, and this becomes important later on. But first, we are going to look at a few things that I asked you to draw. So the first thing I asked you to draw was a little sun, and that was supposed to help us remember that the horizontal axis is the x-axis, and then we should also draw a little person, which I didn't do last time, but remember, a vertical is kind of like when somebody is jumping up, especially in like basketball, they call it having a vertical. So the vertical line is y, which goes up and down. So now we're going to look at what these symbols are and where they're connected to these number lines. So I have a vertical number line, and I also have a horizontal number line. Right here it says -3 on the vertical number line. So the vertical number line will be our y right here, and I need to find what is number 3. So here, our -3, I have this truck. So for my answer for -3 on the vertical number line would be a dump truck. Now, the next one says 4 on the horizontal number line. Horizontal number line is going in the other direction, so we're going this way now. So on the horizontal number line, I have this hot air balloon. So the answer for that one would be hot air balloon. Finally, the next section is asking us to find a sailboat. So on our number line, we have our vertical one and our horizontal, and it looks like our sailboat is located right here. So for my answer for sailboat, I am going to put that it is located at -2 on the horizontal number line. So for the next little section, we have looking for a motorcycle, looking for 5 on the vertical number line, and looking for a rocket. So what you need to do for this next section is locate the motorcycle, whether it is on the vertical number line or the horizontal. And for your answer, you're going to put, for example, if it was at 5, 5 on the horizontal number line, or 5 on the vertical number line, wherever it is. This one says 5 on the vertical number line, so you just need to figure out which one of these objects is there, and also a rocket. Look, the motorcycle is actually located on 1, +1, on the vertical number line. Now 5 on the vertical number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is our helicopter. So our answer for 5 on the vertical number line will be helicopter. And finally, we have rocket. We need to figure out where the rocket is, and it looks like it is one of our last things. It is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5 on the horizontal number line. So that's just a quick review of how to find things on x and y axis. So now the coordinate plane is formed by 2 number lines, a horizontal number line called the x-axis, and a vertical number line that is called the y-axis. The lines intersect at a point called the origin, which we've talked about before. We would want to circle our origin so we remember where it is. and the origin point is actually 0, 0, where x and y are both 0. So we have to label different parts of this coordinate plane in order to understand where to find different objects. So before we get started, what I'd like you to do is make sure that you circle the origin so we know where it is. Now we have x and we have y. But now we have two other points on our coordinate grid. We're going to put negative x over here because we have a negative x, and bottom would be negative y. If we pay attention to the numbers to the left of the origin, it actually turns negative. And if we look down from the origin, we now have negative y. So looking at our coordinate grid, we have 4 different quadrants. This would be quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and finally quadrant 4. We talked about this a second ago, but the x-coordinates for quadrant 1, if you look at the numbers, are all positive, and the y-coordinates for quadrant 1 are both positive. Here, if we look at quadrant 2, our x is negative. If we look at our y, they're all positive. Quadrant 3, we have negative on the x and also negative on the y. And then quadrant 4, we have positive x and we have negative y. So we can use this graph to help us understand how these numbers are related to each other. I'm going to also draw this really big so you can see the different quadrants. So like example, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So remember when we were thinking about graphing using our coordinates, we always have an x and a y. So now that we have 4 different quadrants, we'll be able to tell which quadrant these dots could be on based on whether we have a negative x or a positive x or a negative y or a positive y. So for example, if we think about our quadrants, what would be the quadrant that would have 2 negative? So yes, quadrant 3 would be the one that we would have 2 negative numbers. So we're going to use the coordinate plane below to answer these questions. So we're going to determine the ordered pair for each point in this table. So for A, we're going to see where exactly it's located. So A, if we look, we always have to do x first. So 1, 2, 3. I know we're at negative 3. And then it goes up 1, 2, 3. So A is actually negative 3, 3. Now we're looking for C. C looks like it's on this side, so we're going to go x first. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have x be 4. And now it goes down, so we have negative 1, 2. So I'm just used to actually looking at coordinate grids already, but just a reminder, we have our origin, x, negative x now, negative y, and we have positive y. So this will help us remember where these are negative and where these are positive. So the next one that I want us to look for is E. So E, we need to find our x first. Looks like it is negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's kind of stuck between negative 4 and negative 5. So this one's actually going to be negative 4.5. And it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, and a half. So it goes up 4.5. So this one both was kind of in the middle and it was halfway through. So G, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for our x. And then we go up 1, 2. So we have a positive y. So in order to do this, I always have to go on my x-axis first. X is always first when it comes to these coordinates. So either you're going to the left, going negative, or to the right, going positive, depending on what point you're looking for. For example, for B, it is going to be in this quadrant. So I already know, looking at this without looking at the numbers, it's going to be positive and negative. So go ahead and try and find the points for B, D, F, and H. So for B, if we look at the coordinate, we had 1, 2, 3, 3, 3.5, and then it goes negative, -1, -2, -3. Next, we're checking D. D was located up here. So +1, and then we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. F gives me, oh, we don't go anywhere on X. So this is going to be 0. Because we're still on the origin line, we're not going to go anywhere left or right for X. But we are going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. Now we have H. H is, oh, here. -1, 2, 3, 4. And then down 1.5. So just a reminder, when we're doing these coordinates, we have to make sure that we're doing X first. If you do Y first, it will take me to the wrong location. For example, if we're looking at D and I put 4 first, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1. And there's not a dot located there, and it's definitely not G. So be careful while you're also reading these other ones to see where we should be placing our dots. So for this next section, they give us the coordinates, and we're going to have to use that to figure out where to put our points. So let me start with I. I says it's at 2.5 and -3. So that means my X is going to be positive 2.5. And since it's -3, I'm going to have to go down. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is where I would be located. Put I. Next, I'm going to look for -4 and -5. So my X is negative, so I'm going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. My Y is also negative, so I have to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -4 and -5 is where I'm going to put K. Next, I have 3, -1. My X is +3, but then -1 takes me down to this spot. So this is where M should be located. Next, I have a half and 4. This half is positive, so starting at 0, I can't go to 1 because that would be too far. So half would be right about here. I have to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going to be located right on the 4 for me, but that is where O is going to be. So go ahead and take some time to try and figure out where to put J, L, M, N, and P. Make sure you pay attention whether they're negative or positive, because that will tell you whether you're going to the left, right, up, or down. And also the halves. Some of them are decimals and some of them are fractions, but as long as you know that 1/2 is 0.5 or 0.5 is 1/2, you should be able to graph these pretty easily. So let's go ahead and look at J. J should be at -2. And then we have to go up 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. This is where J should be located. Next, 0, -2. So since it's on 0, I'm not going to go left or right with my x, but I am going to go down 2. So this is where L is. Next, 3.5, 2.5. So over 3.5, and then up 1, 2.5. Right here in the center of everything is going to be where N is located. And last we have P, 5. So I have to go over 5. And then it has 0. So that means I'm not going up or down. For my y coordinate, it's just going to be right on the x-axis. So this is our last point, P. So double check you have all of these coordinates correct before moving on. Now let's go ahead and look at the last section of this. It says the graph below shows several figures. Use the information to answer the questions. So which points meet the conditions where x is less than 1 and y is greater than -1? So here, in order to see it better, I'm going to try and highlight this. Okay, so they want our x to be less than 1. So my x, anything less than 1, would be going this way. But they also want our y to be greater than -1. So anything greater than -1 would be right here. So all of these points is what we're looking at. So in this section, what points meet these conditions of x being less than 1 and y being greater than -1? So the 3 points are A, G, and D that meet that condition. So let's look at the next question. At approximately which points do the triangles and the circles intersect? So let's look. We have our triangle and our circle intersecting at 2 points, it seems. We have right here and right here. So now if we actually look at the numbers, we go from 0 to 1, and there's a space in between. We should know that the space in between is actually a half. So here, if we go from 0 to -1/2 and to -1, we see that this point is actually between 0 and 1/2. So maybe we can consider this like 1/4. So we know our x is going to go first. So we have x is negative. I'll put it as a fraction, 1/2. And do we go up or down on this x-axis at all? And if we don't, what would be the coordinate for y? So the answer should be -1/2 and 0 for one of them. Now our next point, go ahead and try and locate where exactly that point is. Remember, you have to do your x first. So the 2 points in which the circle intersects with this triangle is -1/2 and 0, and -2, -3. So let's see. Name the ordered pair that represents the center of the circle. So in order to find the center of the circle, we can actually count how many spaces are in between this side to this side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to have 4 on each side, and 4 on the top and 4 at the bottom. So this is the center of the circle. What point represents the center of the circle here? So remember, we have to do our x first. So this is -2, -1. That represents the center of the circle. Our last question says, describe where F is located in relation to the origin. So F is right over here. So let's see where F is. If we look, we go 3 over and 2 up to find F. So if we're going to describe where F is located in relation to the origin, knowing that the coordinate is 3, 2, how would you describe where it's located? Put this in your own words and try and figure out how to describe it. So we can say the F is located 3 to the right and 2 units up from the origin. So that tells us that it's exactly at 3, 2. So 3 units to the right and 2 units up. So once you're done with this, go ahead and start working on your homework page. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know.